Command Control presents Hardwire Heartache, Synthetic Love Stories, Episode 1, Soconoco. It was pouring down rain as usual in the backwater spaceport of Soconoco, a corporate greenhouse planet on the outskirts of the Milky Way. Heavy drops crashed off the tin roof walkway that wrapped around a seedy little bar called the Desdemona Club. This early in the morning, the place was pretty dead. Yeah, there were always a couple people in the corners of the room, staring into their drinks. Not the type of folks that look like they want to talk about sports or weather. In fact, it was pretty quiet except for the slow and low jazz that played over the old tube radio behind the bar. Nobody dared or even cared to ask the barman to switch it. The young reporter clicked away on his holopad, drinking a concoction of chemicals that passed for whiskey in these parts. He reached toward a crumpled pack of cigarettes on the bar top and brought one to his lips. At the end of the bar, he noticed a thin young man wearing shabby, filthy-looking clothes. The kid locked eyes with him, and however brief the eye contact, it was plenty enough to set the young man walking in the reporter's direction.
It's one of them.
He thought to himself as he watched the effortless glide of the man's approach.
A microwave?
Microwaves. Synthetic bodies mixed with the DNA of humans. The ones who weren't claimed and didn't have papers got treated like shit and lived awful, desperate lives. This one didn't look like the papers type. He hungrily eyed the young reporter and leaned against the bar beside him. The microwave scooped up the lighter from the bar top, bringing it up to the writer's cigarette. He lit it, and the writer took a long, slow drag before blowing the smoke off in another direction.
Hey, thanks, man. You look like you need a drink. Interested?
The microwave looked at the reporter with genuine relief. He placed the lighter back beside the pack of cigarettes and rested his hand eagerly on the bar, sliding into the stool beside his new best friend, at least as long as the drinks were coming.
You mean it, man? After the night I've had, I'll take whatever's pouring.
The man's voice was gentle and serene. It wrapped around Mike's ears like satin as he smiled a seductive smile at the reporter. It was tinged with the unmistakable intensity of desperation. The reporter raised his empty glass toward the bartender and set it back down as soon as he had gotten his attention.
Hey, Cedric. Give me a couple cold ones. Hopefully it tastes better than this pisswater whiskey. Oh, and some mozzarella sticks. Do they even have mozzarella sticks here?
The writer glanced over at the microwave, finding it hard to believe the guy wasn't a regular human. These poor souls wash up here in this filthy, lawless, overlooked port. Most of them escaped awful circumstances and usually have to resort to prostitution or worse to survive. As the keen eye of the reporter inspected him a bit more, the first thing that jumped out were the bruises all over him. Cedric, the bartender's eyes moved from the glass he was polishing as the reporter spoke. He knew Mike, the nosy reporter, about as well as anyone in Soconoco. His eyes narrowed as he looked at the man beside Mike Bell. Without saying anything, he simply nodded and went back to the kitchen. Mike slowly pointed to the large bruise on the microwave's face, a deep purple wound that looked recent.
Hey, what happened there?
I was working on the docks, and some of the ship's crew, they had their way with me. Though they didn't feel like paying afterward. That bartender there, he hates my kind. All he sees is another urchin stuck to this board. Hell, maybe that's what I am. But just for tonight, I'd like to forget all about that. I'm Conlon. I appreciate your kindness.
There are almost no laws on Soconoco, and the ones there are don't apply to microwaves. Most people here see them as an appliance or perversions of life defiled by science. The bartender came back out with the drinks and food. He grunted as he set the food on the bar.
That's nasty. But I guess you can't expect the good shit out here. Anyway, Colin, I'm Mike. But you can call me Mikey. Here, the food is for you. If you can even call that food.
Silently, the bartender poured the drinks as his eyes drifted between Mike and Conlon. He gritted his teeth and turned back to cleaning his glasses. As soon as he did, Conlon grabbed a mozzarella stick and devoured it in one bite. The way he ate let Mike know he hadn't eaten in some time. Holding back tears, he gulped the beer down behind each stick of gooey fake cheese.
I might be jumping the gun, but it seems like you still have a bit of compassion left in you. You're definitely not like most of the scum that builds up here. What brings you to the taint of the universe, anyway?
I'm just here writing a piece for the Galactic News. Doing a story about a group of smugglers. They're stealing people's DNA. Don't suppose you know anything about that?
Conlon suddenly went very still and his eyes took up a 1,000-yard stare, like he was remembering something traumatic. After a long moment of silence, he gently said under his breath,
Pretty much any microwave on the street is made from hijacked DNA. I'm sure you know it, but real flesh and blood humans are rare these days, and all of them are pretty much sterile. They send their DNA to these manufacturers. The manufacturers grow the client's DNA-matched child in a microwave and sends them to the parents, but the DNA isn't used up in the process. The corporations make even more money on the illegal clones. Geneticists, pirates, slavers, doctors, you name it, they're all in the market for clones, and the price is high for living ones. Dead ones, too. So, without people knowing it, their children are being born in the thousands, spread across the galaxy, for all manner of terrible reasons.
Well, fuck. I guess I never really put it together like that before. It's a sick galaxy we live in.
Conlon's head lowered and he looked intently at the bar top, silently watching the condensation run down his glass of beer.
Hey, don't suppose you'd be willing to tell me any names, will ya?
I'd be happy to, if I had any idea myself. I was too young when they sold me. My first memories are the brothel on New Borneo. Lots of visitors from across the galaxy. They like 'em young. They do things you wouldn't even do to your worst enemy. I barely escaped. This is as far as I got.
Silence hung thick in the air, along with the lazily drifting smoke from Mike's cigarette as he swirled the melting ice cube in his glass, lost in thought.
He could be of some help, but I don't want him to get hurt. He escaped once, he has to know way back in. Maybe then, I can finally get some answers. Would you possibly be willing to show me the way you escaped?
Conlon's eyes widened as Mikey asked the favor. He sat there looking at his hands for a long while, trying to come up with what to say next.
Look, New Borneo is 12 light years from here. And besides, they were just one of the thousands of places, just like it, doing the same thing. It's too dangerous to go back, but if you got a few more bucks, I'll tell you everything I can remember.
Just as Conlon finished his sentence, a tall, dark figure burst through the saloon doors. Circular ripples of electric green ions deflected off his auto umbrella, fluttering before they disappeared. Mikey recognized the man as a local private eye and his unofficial partner, Birx.
Mikey, there you are. Hey, get your coat on. We got a warm one down on Wharf Street. It might have something to do with your case.
Oh, Birx, can a man drink in peace?
Birx was in his late 40s. You could tell he was a dangerous man in his younger days. His shoulders were still large, but he had sprouted something of a gut in his old age. Probably all that synthetic whiskey and late-night pizza. His well-kept black beard was losing the battle against the grays creeping in. He was in love with the idea of old Earth's private detectives. So much so that he dressed like one. Suit, tie, hat, overcoat, the whole nine. Even though he had lost some muscle and found some weight, he still had a manner of pride in his appearance.
Come on, we better get out there before the town watch does. You know how they love to fuck up a crime scene.
Yeah, ease up. Hang on. Hey, Colin, here's my card. It has my info on it. Give me a call when you get a chance, okay? And here's some cash. I can tell you really need it.
Mikey quickly downed his drink and grabbed his coat, throwing it over his shoulders. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his card along with some crumpled up bills, looking back at Conlon.
Okay, let's go. This better be damn good, too.
Birx looked over at Conlon suspiciously. Conlon looked like he was torn between grabbing the money off the counter and running for the back door. Birx didn't have any authority on Soconoco. Hell, no one did. But still, he looked like a lawman to Conlon, and that terrified him. Birx tore out into the misty, humid night, looking back and forth carefully before he left the sidewalk and stepped into the street. His auto umbrella lit up like Christmas with all the rain hitting it.
Still 4 hours left till sunlight. You'd think they'd let up on the rain at least a little.
Mikey's head tilted back and his eyes squinted. He could just make out the tiny twinkle of the weather emulators high up in the clouds.
I always forget everything here is synthetic. Fake rain, fake whiskey, and fake fucking mozzarella sticks.
Birx grinned and tilted his head to one side. His shoulders shrugged a bit.
Hey, so what does this have to do with the case?
Birx moved quicker in the streets. It was a strange thing to behold. This crispy old man with his bad back and his android knee moved like a 17-year-old boy on summer vacation when he was in his element. And it was for the best. Soconoco was a maze of box-shaped buildings and neon signs, blaring in the humid, rainy blackness. He knew every inch of this place, every dark alley and dangerous corner.
Got a tip that one of the paperless microwaves died in captivity and they dumped her on the docks. We got another 45 minutes before the watch gets there, but the goons are probably already on her.
Goons. Genetically engineered reptilian humanoids. They're made for few purposes, but none of them illegal. Basically, they're a grow-your-own henchman crew, complete with telepathic links between one another. They're huddled and hideous creatures that look like an earth reptile and a human combined. Big corporations and mob bosses would grow these mutants in a lab, use them to cover up whatever seedy shit they were up to. If they were killed during a mission, they simply dissolved into clear and traceable ooze.
Her? Who's her?
Birx turned his head and his face scrunched up in his signature sneer, as if he had just smelled something awful.
The dead microwave on the docks, Mikey. The fucking one we're going to see right now. Will you keep up?
As Mikey moved around the corner, Birx's arm held him back at the chest and he pushed him back into the shadows. He pressed his finger to his lips and pointed for Mikey to look. After a good 15 seconds, he leaned in and whispered.
Looks like we got 3 in total. There's 2 of them on the roof across the street over there. Laser pistols. Looks like there's another one moving in on the body.
Birx looked Mikey up and down in the shadow of the building.
This is gonna get ugly. You can either keep back and let me handle it, or we can devise some sort of a plan. It's your call.
Mikey looked at Birx, not entirely sure what to do. He wasn't exactly the ass-kicking type.
Oh, fuck, Birx. I think you better go do it.
In the gloom, Mikey could make out the shiny, smooth skin of 2 goons. Birx darted across the street, staying in the shadows. He reached into his jacket pocket and produced a small, marble-shaped emitter for the auto umbrella he had been using. Slipped off into the darkness. A few silent moments went by before Mikey saw one of the goon's silhouettes disappear into the black, drugged down by his neck. Out of the shadows, the auto umbrella emitter arced through the air and landed onto the street below. After a bounce across the asphalt, it activated, emitting a green orb that rolled slightly toward the goon on the ground. Birx used a distraction to silently take the other goon by the neck, snapping it with one clean, violent jerk. The third goon looked at the emitter and frantically tried to see where it came from. then tried to connect with his fallen comrades telepathically. Mikey heard a single laser blast ring out from the roof and hit the last goon dead between the eyes. Moments later, Birx jumped down off the roof with a thud, grabbing his back as he made his way over to pick up the umbrella.
Oh, I'm getting too old for this shit.
Mike popped out from the shadows and craned his neck in the direction of the body laying on the sidewalk as he made his way toward Birx.
Holy shit, is she naked?
Birx cocked one eyebrow at Mikey and leaned down over the body. A little flashlight protruded out of his fingertip and he ran it carefully over the rain-soaked body, looking for any clues as to what happened.
She's still fresh, and I can't find any wounds or struggle marks on her. In fact...
Birx pulled out a pair of black nitrile gloves and with 2 fingers checked her pulse. His brow furrowed and he pressed a finger deeper into her neck before hearing a small click beneath the skin.
Not only is she not alive, she never was. Now grab her feet. Let's get her out of here before more goons show up.
Wait, let me guess. She's fucking synthetic. God, this planet's a joke.
We need to get her someplace where I can do a more thorough investigation. I got a hunch she isn't a regular microwave.
Birx slipped his arms under her and lifted her up with quite a bit of trouble.
Oh, Christ. She weighs a fucking ton. Yeah, don't just stand there. Get her feet, Mikey.
Mikey quickly helped Birx pick up the lady by her feet. It took all his strength to lift the woman's legs as Birx led him through the alley into a large, old garage. He grunted and breathed heavily as he slammed the door behind him and put the body onto the workbench.
Christ, my fucking back. This ain't no normal microwave.
Birx ran his fingertips gently over the body, continuing his search for something that couldn't be seen with the naked eye. Mikey snapped pictures of the body as suddenly Birx stopped short and took a deep breath inside. Looking up at Mikey, his face frozen, with a mix of realization and disgust.
I think I got a hunch as to what we're dealing with here, but, I'm gonna need you to turn around a minute.
Wait, what? Turn around?
I just turn around or something. I can't do this with you fucking looking at me, Mikey.
Okay, fine. Do you want me to cover my ears also?
As he began to turn around, he stopped short and asked,
So, what are you doing that I can't watch?
Birx's gloved hand slipped between the body's legs as Mikey snapped a picture without looking.
If this is what I think it is, there's a safe mode button. But these gross fuckers, they put them in the weirdest spots.
Curling his fingers upward, Birx grimly searched and seemed as if he was about to give up when the body stiffened to sit up completely straight on the workbench.
I knew it. It's an android. Mach 7 for sure. Oh, she's a thing of beauty, ain't she?
Oh, holy shit, Birx. Is she alive? Is it alive?
Mikey's camera flashed again as Birx maintained eye contact with the doll-like woman on the counter. He spoke firmly and clearly.
Model number and manufacturer.
A smooth and seductive voice, gently like a summer breeze, issued from the android.
Model Unit 0, manufacturer error.
The android began to twitch and convulse before falling back to the workbench. Everything was still a moment until Mikey's camera flash broke the silence.
Guessing you've seen this before. It's an old android, way back before they started using human DNA. Runs off an ancient technology called AI.
Oh yeah, I've seen androids. But I've never seen ones like that before.
Yeah, neither have I. This thing's a work of art. No seams, no weird smells.
Birx reached down and caught a tear running down her cheek.
Warm tears. That's what I call attention to detail. Whoever this belongs to, this must be worth a fortune.
Warm tears? What the fuck is the point of that? And more importantly, what do we do with her?
Birx stopped and thought for a long while, pacing around the shop between long bouts of staring out the window and also at the android lying on the counter.
Well, the fact that goons are out trying to retrieve it means that whoever lost it is A, looking for it, B, probably loaded, and C, most likely dangerous.
Oh yeah? And what's D?
Birx grunted as he didn't find Mikey's joke all that funny.
I don't know. A sex pervert or something? Look, call the code over and we'll get her someplace safe. We gotta make sure she doesn't have any trackers on her. And in the morning, we'll rent a speeder car to Boli. I got a friend there that might be able to get her operational again.
Mike quickly grabbed Birx's coat and put it over the android.
All right, kid. You take the lead. This billion-credit pocket rocket is heavy as fuck.
Birx looked over Mikey's shoulder to see if anyone was around, before carrying the android into the open.
I guess we can take it to my place. Just keep it down. Daphne's sleeping.
Daphne was Birx's daughter. Mikey never had the nerve to ask what happened to her mother. But she's a bright kid who's very smart and witty for her age. A necessity when your father is gone all night for work.
Okay. What way do you want to go?
Yeah, just go ahead and duck through this alleyway here. We'll slip in the back. Last thing I need to do is have to explain this to a 6-year-old.
The two men slipped into the dark, wet alleyway, their footsteps splashing through the black puddles on the asphalt. Mikey crept up to the back of Birx's flat and unlocked the door. They both tiptoed into the house, and as they entered the kitchen, they saw Daphne making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich on the table and froze.
Oh, wow. I was just playing while I was asking for a new mommy. Really? Don't you think this is a bit extreme?
Said Daphne. As the men both stood there at a loss for words, Birx sighed and took the android to the couch, tossing it on the worn cushions with a bounce and a thud.
Very funny, young lady. What are you doing up at this hour?
I was hungry? Oh, wow. How drunk is she? Oh, hey. Hi, Mikey.
Hey kid, you making a PB&J?
Daphne stopped in front of Mikey and nodded as she handed him half of the sandwich and smiled.
And this one's for you?
She then peeked around her father, even though he tried to stand in her way.
Ew. Where are her clothes? Wait, is she dead? Are you going to prison? Who's going to take care of me?
Her eyes went wide with fake horror.
Oh, no. Does this mean Mikey's going to be my new daddy?
Daphne Jane Birx. Will you keep it quiet? This is an android. Remember? Like at the circus. It's broken. We're trying to return it to its owner.
Daphne juked and ran around her father, standing in front of the android laying on the couch. She reached a little finger and poked at the android's breast. It jiggled ever so slightly.
I don't remember any circus robots having boobies.
That is no way for a 6-year-old to talk.
Daphne scrunched her face up the same way her father always did.
I'm gonna be 7 in like a week.
Oh, really? You hadn't mentioned it. I'll answer all your questions in the morning. But for now, finish your damn PBJ and get to bed. Me and Mikey got some stuff to take care of.
Birx placed a smacking kiss on the little girl's forehead. She didn't put up much of a fight, given the tone of her father's voice. She simply scooped up the other half of her PB&J from the counter and the rest of a glass of milk before slowly marching down the hallway to her bedroom. So after a few more drinks and a few more sleepless hours, both Birx and Mikey could feel an almost electric excitement buzzing in their bellies. They spoke about what they would do with all the creds they were going to make when they returned the android to its rightful owner. This droid could be their ticket out of the humid, relentless cesspit that was a forsaken planet. They didn't know it at the time, but what they truly were in for might just land them on a slow coffin back to where they came from.